Well, hello everybody, and welcome to LA Dodger Report, World Series Edition. Phew! How about those first two games? Craziness. We win one, and then we almost win game two, but let it slip away for a few different reasons. If you want my analysis about those reasons, check out my recap over at ladodgerreport.com. But I do want to expand a little bit more on one of the points that I made, the main reason why I think we lost a game that we could have won. Dave Roberts was too fast with the hook, too fast with the hook too often, and he ended up petering away our bullpen, which left us with nothing but scrubs at the end of the game. Now, people have been arguing both sides of this. A lot of folks are saying, well, pulling Rich Hill after 4 innings was the right move, because 5 right-handed batters were coming up. And the stats called for that, and the graphs and the charts called for the bullpen to take over after seeing a lineup 3 times, or at least seeing the lineup twice, and argue against letting a pitcher go through the lineup for the 3rd time. But I'm going to argue against that point. Rich Hill had given up 1 run at that point of the game. It was still a 1-run game. Yes, they might have scored more, and we got lucky because of that ball that went off the hat, but they didn't score more is the point, and it was still only 1 run. It was a 1-run difference, and Rich Hill at that point, through 4 innings, had 7 strikeouts. The big guns in the Astros lineup, Altuve and Correa, were in Rich Hill's pocket. He had those guys mastered. Altuve and Correa were 0 for 4 up to that point with 3 strikeouts, and Hill was making those guys look sick. There was really no reason to pull Hill after just 4 in a 1-run game. If anything, I would say this: you send Hill out there and you keep him on a short leash. He gives up a hit, depending upon what kind of a hit he gives up, you can yank him and go right to the bullpen. But you let the guy do the job, and you let the guy keep mastering the batters that he has clearly shown that he can master. Now, what happened? Okay, I'll go with your theory about pulling Hill, but what you end up with basically is a bullpen game. Now it's a bullpen game for the next 5 innings. All right, fine. They bring in Maeda, and they let him pitch 1.5 innings. If you're going to bring in Kenta Maeda, you let him pitch 2. Here's a little bit coming back to my point I was making before. If you let Rich Hill get you through 5 innings, then you can go to the formula, and you can go to Kenta Maeda for 2 innings. That's 6 and 7. Then you can go to Morrow for the 8th, and you go to Jansen for the 9th. Now that's the way things look as the way they used to play them out, and I would have rather have seen that. He didn't even give us Maeda for 2 innings. Pulled Maeda, brought in Tony Watson. You know how long Tony Watson pitched? 1 pitch. He pitched 1 pitch, and then he was done with him. Why not let Watson go out there and start the next inning? Again, on a short leash, and see if he can get you through the inning. Well, he didn't. He burnt Watson on 1 pitch. He burned Maeda on 1.5 of an inning. Then we had 3 innings still that we had to get through. Because we still had 3 innings to get through, 7, 8, and 9, he ends up being forced to use gas can Ross Stripling, who's been very iffy in the postseason. Stripling could have went either way, and we all know which way Stripling went. Stripling only saw one batter, and he yanked him. Now, he's forced to go to Moreau, Brandon Moreau, and he's forced to use him to try to get through all the outs. After he uses Moreau, now he's forced into the situation of using Kenley Jansen for 6 outs. Now look, Kenley is the man. He's been the man all season, and that's a little bit of my point. Moreau and Kenley have been used a lot. They've been used in every game in the postseason. They're human, and they're going to give up runs sooner or later. They're not machines, and it's going to happen. He went to Kenley to get 6 outs. When Kenley couldn't do it, and we ended up with a tied game going into extra innings, the Dodgers ended up just like that All-Star game where they pissed right through all of their pitchers and there was nobody left in a tie game. This isn't the regular season where you've got 100 and some games where you can take your chances, and if you don't win, it isn't the end of the world. If you don't win in the World Series, it brings you closer to the end of your baseball world. So you've got to manage your bullpen much better than this, because you can't be forced to go into a tie game. You can't be forced to use just gas cans and scrubs for the final innings. What ended up happening? Well, of course. What ended up happening is everything that Houston's stat boys told them. Get deep enough into the Dodgers bullpen and our power hitters will get fat. And that's what happened. We don't want to be in a situation like that. When your pitchers are doing well, when there's no reason to lift them, except for just the stats say lift them, resist the urge. Because you never know what's going to happen, and you can't use up all of your reserves. Now, ordinarily, I would go to a beer review in my videos, but I'm not reviewing a beer today for a reason. I'm going to go out driving in a while, and so I don't want to sample a beer, even if it's only one, and hit the road. Don't drink and drive, folks. Don't drink and hit the road, Dodger fans. So, we're just going to run it pure this time, but we'll have a beer review next time. So the last thing that I want to touch on is the Houston Astros and the wine factor. We don't have beer, but we've got plenty of wine with the Houston Astros. Let's start off with Josh Reddick. Did you hear about Josh Reddick calling out Dodger fans before the series and saying, well, the Dodger fans booed me when I'm in LA, so I'm going to take this serious and I'm going to take it personal and I've got something to prove and I'll show them blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what you showed us, Josh? You showed us exactly why we booed you when you were a Dodger. Not everybody booed you, but some folks booed you, yes. And I've talked before in videos about, hey, you paid for your ticket. You got the right to boo if the guys are not doing the job. And Josh, you weren't doing the job. And Josh, you continue to not do the job when you return to Dodger Stadium. How have you been doing? Postseason Josh Reddick, batting 188 with 9 strikeouts. Last night, how'd you do, Josh? 2 double plays. You hit into 2 double plays. If nothing, you're not consistent. If you're anything, you're consistent. Come to Dodger Stadium and you stink. That's why you got booed. Only, hey, this time we were much nicer to you, and we didn't boo you when you hit into those double plays. We gave you the applause that you deserved. Last bit, a little bit more whine coming from starting pitcher Dallas Crinkle, whatever that guy's name is. He had a problem with Charlie Culberson hitting a late inning home run last night. Charlie Culberson came up big time on the biggest baseball stage that there is, came through and brought his team that much closer to victory. And what did he do? Celebrate his accomplishment and happily trot around the bases. Pointed to his family in the stands, and he was very, very happy. But Dallas Crinkle had a problem with that. And he had to tweet about, things like, oh, act like you've been there before. And he celebrated like he tied the game. He blah, blah, blah. ¿Sabes qué, Crinkle? You ought to pay a little bit less attention to our home run celebrations and pay a little bit more attention to not giving our guys reason to celebrate. Because guess what? You gave up two big home runs against us. So enough with the whine. World Series goes to Game 3 tomorrow. We're going to be in Houston, Minute Maid Park, or whatever the heck they call that place. Good luck, Dodgers. Let's go, Dodgers. Let's get the win. And let's stomp those Astros. All right? We'll see you again soon, everybody. Peace.